So I'm on a fresh new page for my notes. I'm going to draw my horizontal line all the way across for my title. You guys should be used to this by now. And then I'm drawing my vertical line down this side. That is not vertical. Oh God. There we go. Okay. And the title of my notes is going to be Solving Simple Equations. We're not going to get into the super complicated equations today. We're only going to be solving simple equations, okay? And then make sure at the top of your notes, whatever today's date is, you put the date at the top, the month, the day, and the year, whatever today is, because I don't know when I'm giving this to you to watch, all right? So the objective that you're going to type right at the top, so objective, okay, is going to be I can solve 1 and 2 step equations by isolating a variable using inverse operations. That is the whole objective. So I can solve 1 and 2 step equations by isolating a variable using inverse operations. Okay? So the first thing that we need to know is we know we're going to be solving equations. So what does it mean to solve an equation? And I want you to write this in really large letters or something very clearly across the middle of your notes. What I'm going to write is to solve an equation, my goal is, so the goal of solving equations is to isolate the variable on one side. So isolate also means to like make someone alone. So the entire goal of solving equations is to try to get your variable all by itself on one side. And we'll talk about what that looks like in a second, okay? So we know how to solve, right? We know how to solve. It's by isolating the variable. But how do we isolate the variable? And in our objective, it says that we use something called inverse operations. So let's just make sure we are aware of what our inverse operations are. Okay? So inverse operations just means opposite. They're operations where if I do the opposite, I can kind of cancel something out. It's just opposites. So the inverse operations that we know is if I have addition, okay, if I have addition, the inverse of addition is subtraction. And the inverse of subtraction is addition. They can go both ways. Okay? And similarly, if I have multiplication, the inverse of multiplication is division. And I'm just going to put my symbols so I can really see what I'm talking about. Okay, so those are my inverse operations. If I see addition, I can subtract as the opposite. If I see multiplication, I can divide as the opposite. And that's all I need to know for right now. Okay, so as we go down, we're going to talk about one-step equations. And these are called one step because all I have to do is one step to figure out what the value of my variable is. So if I have my examples here, we'll do first example. Let's say we have x plus 4 equals 9. X plus 4 equals 9. The first thing that I always want you guys to do is draw a line down your equal sign to show that that is the middle of your equation, okay? And then we said that the goal of solving equations is to get your variable alone. So that's my variable x. It's on the left side of my equation. And I want x to be the only thing on the left side of my equation. But there's a problem because we have a -4 also on that side. So that means we have to use inverse operations to get rid of the -4. So if I see addition, the inverse of addition is subtraction. So I have to subtract 4 in order to get rid of that 4, okay? But we can't just subtract 4 and call it a day. This is an equation. We have to maintain the balance on both sides of the equation because these two sides are the same. So if I take away 4 from one side, I have to take away 4 from the other side, okay? I have to do that. So when I do that, I'm going to draw a line across to see what I'm left with. 4 minus 4 on the left side is 0, so the only thing left is x equals 9 minus 4 on the other side is 5. Now, if you look at my problem, x is alone on the left side, and on the other side, I only have a constant. So this is going to be my answer, x equals 5. And to check if this is correct, I can just plug 5 back here. So if I pretend x was 5, 5 plus 4 is 9. So that makes sense, okay? Let's do another example. Let's say I have 4x equals 12. Let's say I have 4x equals 12. Again, the first thing you're always going to do is draw your line, okay? And 4x means 4 times x. Again, remember, my goal is x has to be alone, but x is not alone right now. It's being multiplied by 4. So to get x alone, I have to get rid of the 4. And the way that I do that is I'm going to divide by 4. And since we're not going to put the division symbol, we're going to do like a fraction to show division. I'm dividing by 4, okay? In order to get rid of it so x can be alone. Remember what I said earlier, this is a equation. It's an equation, so it has to be balanced on both sides. So if I divide by 4 on one side, I have to divide by 4 on the other side. And let's see what that leaves me with. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and then x equals 12 divided by 4, which is 3. Now, it looks like my x is not alone on the left side. However, remember we said that the variable 1 is invisible, so we can actually get rid of the 1, and it looks like x equals 3 is my answer. And if I want to check my answer, I can plug 3 back in for x. 4 times 3 does equal 12. So that means that this problem is also correct. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down 2 more problems for you guys to try on your own. So I want you guys to do x minus 8 equals 2. And I also want you to do x divided by 3 equals 5, okay? And right now, I want you to pause the video, all right? So pause and solve those problems. Okay, So hopefully you already solved the problem, but I'm just going to go over the answer with you. So for number 3, we drew a line, okay? I need x to be alone, so x is right here. It is not alone. So in order to get it alone, I see subtraction, I have to do the opposite. So I'm going to add 8. And anything I do on one side, I have to do to the other side. When I draw this out, negative 8 plus 8 is 0, so the only thing left on the left side is x. 8 plus 2 is 10, so x equals 10 is going to be my answer for that one. For number 4, x over 3 is the same as saying x divided by 3. So x is here. I need to draw my line. I always want you guys to draw this line. X is not alone because it's being divided by 3. So in order to get rid of the 3, I need to multiply by 3. And that dot means multiplication. I'm not going to draw a little x multiplication sign because then we'll get confused if I'm talking about a variable or if I'm talking about a multiplication sign. So multiplied by 3, anything I do on one side, I have to do on the other side. So when I do that, okay, if I multiply by 3, that's getting rid of the 3, so I have x alone on this side. 5 times 3 is 15, so x is going to equal 15. So hopefully you guys are cool with the one-step equations, okay? But we got to make it more difficult. Like, this was too easy. We got to step it up a little bit. So now we're going to go into two-step equations. Now we're going to go into two-step equations.